And we're back, YouTube. We're in the garage doing another great project with everything Avron. So as you guys can see by the thumbnail, I am doing some troubleshooting today. I did just recently get the infamous lean code P0171, I believe, or maybe I have that backwards. Kind of difficult because the cause of that trouble code could be a multitude of items. So amongst a couple of things that could cause that lean code could be a vacuum leak after your mass airflow sensor. So I changed all my vacuum lines out. Could be your O2 sensor, could be your fuel pressure, your fuel pump could be bad, or it could even be your injectors. So like I said, it's a lot of different things. We're going to go ahead and tackle the fuel pressure issue. I've actually already jumped ahead a little bit, took some resistance measurements and voltage measurements across the fuel pump itself. Those did check out. For one thing that you may want to check, even if you don't have this code, is your fuel pressure. They make it real difficult to actually check your fuel pressure. You don't have a Schrader valve, which a lot of cars have on their injector rail, that just allows it to, simply screw in a fuel pressure gauge and you can check it. Some have internal pressure gauges, but nonetheless, Scion Tcs, some Toyotas don't have neither. So back over on the workbench, let me go ahead and go over some of the tools you'll need. The main thing, this guy right here, fuel pressure test kit. Most auto stores have the capability of you renting these tools and then just returning them and getting all your money back. So honestly, that's the way to go. And sadly, all these fancy brass fittings that they have, all these different valves, we're not going to use any of them. The piece we will need is actually this guy down here in the bottom. This is going to connect up to the fuel pressure gauge itself, and then we got to do stuff on the left and the right side to make it fit our cars. So back over here at the vehicle, over on the right hand side, this is where your airbox typically is. I am boosted, so I just have my charge pipe here, but that's where your fuel line is. So of course your injector rail is back there. There's all your injectors. You have your little fuel pressure damper right there. It goes down underneath here, and this dingy line right here that I'm touching, that's your fuel line. And specifically, we're going to have to connect into this. So down here, hopefully you guys can see at the bottom, but this is a junction between the hard line on your fuel line and then this bendable line right here that connects up to your fuel rail. There's actually a little connector right here, a little plastic clip. You just got to push on each side of that clip. It's kind of hard to do it with one hand, but just like that, comes off. There's another little clip piece on the bottom. Push it off without dropping it. There we go. Got it. This is your junction. This is where we need to make something that's going to mate up with this female side of the hose up top, and then it's going to mate up as well to the metal barb male side of the hose. Let's go back to the workbench and I'll show you exactly what you need. And this kit will actually come with two small hoses. There's one, I believe that's a 5/16 hose, and one I think it's 1/4. And yeah, you don't want to use the 1/4 one, it's a little too small. So just go down to the hardware store again, get you some extra 5/16 hose. So that brass piece that came with the kit, that's going to be in the middle. You're going to slide that supply hose on here on one side. You're going to slide this supply hose on the other side, just like that. Of course, we're going to use hose clamps to hold this in place. This guy here, this is a little 5/16 barb connection. You're going to need this guy. This is what actually will connect up to that female side. It's just going to click right in. As always, I'll put my links down below, including this part and everything else I use in the video. They will be affiliated links, so if you do purchase from my links, I do say thank you because I do receive a commission. I'm going to push that into this side of the hose, just like that. Of course, do another clamp. And then on this side, that's going to go right over the metal barb inside the vehicle on the fuel line. And then again, another hose clamp. Hold it in place. We put this together, sort of looks like. All right, guys, here you go. Here's the little piece that you got to create. And then, of course, over here at the kit, you're going to use the whole main assembly. Main assembly comes with, of course, the actual gauge, and then the hose that's going to screw in right here onto that. Put some Teflon tape around the threads here just to add some extra sealing capabilities. Have a vinyl tube that's going to come with the kit. That vinyl tube simply just going to mate up right here on the pressure release valve, so that when you're done with the project, you'll be able to relieve the fuel pressure into an appropriate container. You got to relieve the fuel pressure first because right now there's a lot of pressure in the lines. So you're going to have to remove your back seat, and you're just going to have to pull up right here, and the lower portion of your back seat will come off no problem. And that's going to allow you to get access to this right here. I've already pre-loosened mine. It's just hung on by some super sticky, I think it's called butyl tape or buttle tape, but essentially that lid just holds on with that sticky tape. Down here you have two connectors, one up here in the front. That's for your fuel pressure. That's where you get power. So you're just gonna have to remove that guy. Kind of hard to do this with one hand. Then you're gonna make your way up to the front of the vehicle, and you're just gonna start your car and then let it run until it dies, essentially. You can now make your way down here. This is where you're gonna disconnect your fuel line. Get you a towel, shop towel, because there's still gonna be fuel in the lines. It won't be under high pressure. And one thing you'll notice here that you gotta pay attention to is on each side of this top portion of your fuel line, you're going to see there's a little yellow square, yellow opening square. That's a little connecting mechanism that holds this fuel line in place. You simply got to push both sides of that in, and then you lift up on it. Give it a wiggle. Boom. There you go. And then we're going to take our T-fitting. I have everything hooked up now, as you can see. Hose is going to go on the bottom side with a clamp on it, barb fitting. That's going to click right up into here. I got the bottom portion of the hose on and C-clamped in place. You need to finagle this. You don't want to bend this too much. The top portion, it is bendable a little bit, so that you can take that plastic piece, get it in there, and push it down in place. Boom. There's the click. And now we're ready to actually get testing. But first you're going to need to go back into your vehicle. You're going to need to re-plug in your fuel pressure connector on the back underneath your seat. Then we're going to be ready to go. So now that you're back in the vehicle and we got our fuel pump connected back in, they make the hose long enough to actually reach in so you can do this by yourself. So that's a good thing to note. As far as that clear vinyl hose, I actually went ahead and put it inside that little fuel container down there. No fuel should come out technically at the moment, but better to be safe than sorry, you know. We're going to be looking for fuel pressures anywhere between 44 and 50 psi. I'm going to leave this upside down because that's going to be the easiest way to show you guys and be able to turn on the vehicle with the other hand. Go ahead and start your vehicle. There we go, building up. And look at that. Perfect. Right to 50 psi, just about on the dot, 49 if you would ask me. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you measure your fuel pressure on your Scion Tc and similar Toyota vehicles that don't have the Schrader valve. One last thing you're going to need to do, you turn your vehicle off. The next part that you have to verify is how it holds fuel pressure. So I turned it off. Do not disconnect anything yet. Do not relieve the fuel pressure. You're going to want to watch this. You're going to leave it sitting there for, I believe, 20 minutes. And you want to make sure that this stays above 21 psi for the next 20 minutes. Once you successfully do that and it stays above that psi, you can successfully say that your fuel pressure, your fuel pump, is not the problem for your lean code and move on to the next part. All right, so it's been over 20 minutes now. And looking at the gauge, as you can see, we are still above 30. We're at about 35 psi, which is great. That means this fuel system is holding pressure just as it should. So now to finish up this project, you simply just got to disconnect everything. But first you need to relieve that pressure. So make sure your hose, the little vinyl hose off to the side, is inside of a little container just like that. And then you go ahead and you press this button. And there you go. You can see all that fuel making its way down, around, and out of the lines. You make your way back up into the vehicle. You're just going to push on both of these connectors on each side, and you simply just got to disconnect everything else. Definitely keep your towel in hand because you're still going to have residual fuel in the lines. It won't be under pressure, but you'll still have fuel that wants to leak. So just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you have now successfully completed another project, another troubleshooting step in my case for your 2005 to 2010 Scion Tc. And yeah, quick and easy. It wasn't too hard. You just got to make sure you have the right materials for it. It is unfortunate that Toyota did not give us that Schrader valve, but nonetheless, we can make it happen. We got more videos to come for the Scion Tc, for the GTR, for the Jaguar, for the truck, for the other Jaguar, and for all the other vehicles we got in this used car garage. Thank you guys for watching another great video with Everything Avon. I'll see you on the next one soon.